Hey guys, welcome to the WWE podcast. On this really fun edition of the Wrestling Nostalgia Show, we're going to go back to 2000 at Judgment Day for The Rock versus Triple H in a true 60-minute Ironman match for the WWF Championship that saw a somewhat botched ending, and we'll get to that, but memorable for the quality of the match and for the massive return and re-debut of The Undertaker for the very first time as the American Badass. So we've got audio for you and much more. So we're going to get everything started right after this. Introducing Irie TV, the best IPTV at the best price. Supporting the most devices, Irie TV is on Roku, Apple TV, smart TVs, Android phones and tablets, as well as Fire Stick. You can watch Irie TV on iPhones, iPad, and also on the web player that works on any browser. So for drama, news, sports, boxing, WWE, movies, adult, streaming pay-per-views, or with League Pass packages, choose Irie TV. It's video on demand included. Irie TV is IRIE-TV. There's a low monthly and annual discount prices as well. You can find that at irietv.co. That's IRIE-TV.co. Irie TV, it's the best TV. Hey guys, not because you need to, but because you would want to. Improve your weight room and bedroom performance with the all-new Vaso Flux for Men. It's a natural dietary supplement. This unique blend of barks, roots, herbs, and vitamins is nature's way of keeping you in the game, and for under $10, you can order yours today. Just visit Youth Fountain Laboratory at youthfountainlab.com, that's youthfountainlab, all one word, .com, or call 1-800-853-7856, that's 1-800-853-7856.
It's time for your weekly fix of wrestling nostalgia when we look at wrestling's past eras, from the Attitude Era to the Reality Era.
I'd like to think that maybe this company will be better after Vince McMahon's dead, but the fact is, it's going to get taken over by his idiotic daughter and his doofus son-in-law and the rest of his stupid family.
To today, here on the WWE Podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome to the WWE Podcast for this, as I said, really fun edition of the week. This is kind of the let go and kick your feet back, lighthearted version of the show, where the rest of the week, it's all about analysis and review. This is where we take a look back at yesteryear and some of the greatest moments in wrestling history according to, well, me, but I think the general population of wrestling fans probably would be in agreement with the choices we make. Not everybody. I'm sure that people are sometimes questioning why we do certain topics, but when I pick a topic, it's near and dear to my heart, as well as I think it would serve the listeners to go back and revisit these moments. And tonight, we're taking a listen to, not a look, I'll look while you listen, or you can watch while we talk about it, is Judgment Day 2000. Yeah, Judgment Day 2000. And this was the Iron Man match between the 60-minute Iron Man match between The Rock and Triple H for the WWF Championship, with Shawn Michaels as the special referee. And back when Iron Man matches were truly that, 60 minutes. They didn't do 30 minutes. This was the real deal. And I think the quality of the match was very good. We'll get into the nitty gritty of some audio from the match and break it down, as well as, of course, the ending of the match, which you're going to want to listen to at the end of this show for my thoughts on, because it was one of the loudest, one of the best executed, and memorable moments in WWE history, in my estimation. And yes, there was a botched ending, and I'll get to that and why it was a botched ending. And there's no other way to describe it. It was botched, and yet it was still brilliant, and it was still well done. So how can those both be simultaneously true? We'll get to that. And so, again, I said 2000. So we're going back 20 years. It's crazy that I'm saying that 2000 was 20 years ago. I don't know why that's just hitting me now. It feels like it was like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. It's 20 years ago, back in 2000. So take yourself back to that place of your life. Where were you in the year 2000? Maybe some of you were just being born. Some of you may have been in your teens, as I was. I was 15 years old, right in that prime sweet spot of the viewership for WWE. And it was hot. WWE was never hotter in 99, 2000, 2001. That was their peak years for viewership. And, you know, I can remember just kind of off the cuff, given the viewership and the demographics of the people watching the Monday Night Raw and then eventually SmackDown that would come along, was certain commercials that USA Network would constantly air. And WWE had sponsors for it. And that was Castrol GTX. I remember seeing that incessantly. And, of course, Stridex. If you guys don't know what Stridex is, it was a... And they might still be around, but I haven't been in the market needing one, right, since I was a teenager. It was basically an anti-acne pad that you would wipe on your face. Essentially, it was just alcohol. It was just pads that were soaked in alcohol that you'd rub on your face. And they would supposedly... take dirt off and clear your pores. But I remember Stridex, being smart with their demographic. Obviously, I was right in the heart of that. And then Castrol GTX. So anybody else have any other ones? Skittles, maybe, right? Skittles was another one. But anyway, so, all right, but moving on here. First, guys, I want to thank you for joining us, as I always do. I take the moment to thank you for stopping in whatever you're doing. You could be doing a million other things right now, right? You could be browsing YouTube. You could be on TikTok. And my God, is TikTok a waste of time. But I mean that in a way that's saying that app is huge. It's so big and it's so addicting that it's a time suck. And you have no idea how long you're spending on it until you look up and it's 30 minutes later and you're like, whoops. I'm telling you, TikTok is, if you haven't gone on it, don't, because you will waste an inordinate amount of time. But you could be doing anything, right? You could be on that. You could be on YouTube. You could be on Netflix. You could be watching wrestling. You could be listening to other audio, but you are choosing to be here. So thank you for your time. And if you love the show, tell a friend, or just do it in Apple and rate and review us on Apple iTunes. It would really help out the show. You can also head on over to Patreon if you want to get an ad-free experience. Patreon.com/WWE podcast. So lots of ways to support the show. And I do see all the comments. I see the reviews. I see the constructive criticism. It's a show that's always can improve. I don't think anybody is ever unless you are in your comfort zone, which is the kiss of death. I don't think anybody that's in a entrepreneurial type of scenario that they feel they're always just right where they want to be and they don't want to improve. No, I'm always trying to make this better, and I want to make sure that if you guys see something, hear something that you're like, oh, I wish you would do this or that, or I want video, please let me know. I mean, I mean that in all sincerity. I want to know what you guys want. Do you want more content? Do you want different hosts? Do you want to hear me less? Do you want to hear me more? Do you want video? Like again, I want to survey the field here. I want to know what you want, because what you guys want is what's important to me. Yes, this is my show, right? This is my show. I run it how I want, but I also want to be successful, and I want you guys to be happy, because you guys are the ones who are spending your time with me and choosing to click on this show. So just a quick thing. And you can also send your audio to me at realwwepodcast@gmail.com, by the way. And we have an audio clip that's coming up in just a minute that I want to get to answer a question. And then we'll get to the match with Undertaker debuting as the American Badass at the end of this match with Triple H versus The Rock. So again, welcome to the show, and we'll be back again. If you're wondering what the schedule is, it's the middle of the week here, so we've got 2 more shows coming to you in the next couple days with AEW and NXT reviews, and then we'll be back on, what am I doing? It's got to be Saturday. It's got to be Saturday, because it is the pay-per-view weekend of Money in the Bank. So we'll be doing a full preview and prediction show this coming Saturday with a co-host. And then, obviously, Money in the Bank Sunday. And you can join me on Twitter at the WWE Podcast for live interaction, live feedback for a match-by-match analysis on the go. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. And, I've always thought about, too, doing a live streaming watch with people. What I mean by that is, like, you could do a live stream on Facebook, which, by the way, I have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/the WWE podcast. But maybe on, what's that, Periscope, right? I could do a live stream on Periscope, or do it on Twitter, which is really connected to Periscope. So I could do it there. But just a thought, would you guys be interested in that? Would you guys want to do, or I should say, would you want to watch me watch wrestling? It's kind of weird, but we can just do it together. So anyway, just kind of talking off the cuff here, but all right. So let's get to the question that I got via audio from my email, and then we'll get to the answer, and then right after that, we'll get to the Wrestling Nostalgia match with Triple H versus The Rock.
Hey Matt, it's Brad from Pennsylvania. I didn't finish listening to your podcast yet. I just started. I got to where you mentioned who you think's going to win Money in the Bank. I'm about to go into work, so I'm not going to have enough time. But with that being said, I just wanted to touch on that real quick. I think AJ Styles is going to win the Money in the Bank. Part of the reason I think so is because this is Vince buttering him up a little bit for firing his friends. So I do think AJ is going to win. But that makes me think if AJ was going to win Money in the Bank, it would have been awesome if the OC was still here. And then that would make me want Seth to actually beat Drew. Not that I want to see Drew drop the title, but it would be awesome to see the OC feud with the Monday Night Messiah and the Disciples for a few months or so. I could see AJ being very interesting walking around with that briefcase, as he can be a very good, very ignorant heel. So heel on heel doesn't always work out, but I think the OC versus the Disciples would be a pretty good feud for a couple months or whatever. So that's just hypothetically speaking. I just want to share that with you real quick. So let me know what you think. Take it easy, man. Stay safe.
All right, thanks, Brad, for your question. And the Disciples versus the OC would have been very interesting. Now, I know you mentioned heel versus heel. Yeah, Vince has traditionally not been a fan of heel versus heel because the belief is, well, no one's going to care. I tend to disagree. Life, if you want art to imitate life, then you're going to have bad guy versus bad guy at some point. It's not always light versus dark. And this could have been very interesting, or, you ultimately could have tried to turn one of the groups. Probably the OC. The OC probably would have eventually organically turned in the fans' favor and wanted to see Seth's group get beat down. So, yeah, to your point also, could it have been a make good to AJ Styles for what Vince did? It could be a very small part of it, but ultimately I think the biggest decision and the reason that AJ is getting this opportunity and it will likely win is that the WWE, in terms of the heel opponents for Drew, are very thin, which is why they went to Seth Rollins so quickly. On Raw, who is there that it's worthy of a championship match against Drew McIntyre? What are you going to do? You already have Andrade as the United States champion. You can't do that. You went to Seth Rollins. He's a logical choice. You can't do Kevin Owens. He's a babyface. What are you going to do? Jinder Mahal? They seem to be on a collision course at some point, and the fact that people are calling that a dream match is really a reflection on how far the bar has fallen. That if you really believe that Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre at this stage, let me be very careful about this, at this stage is a dream match. But yeah, I think it's just the biggest reason to me, I think, that AJ Styles was put in this match is the lack of depth in the heel roster, a main event heel roster, and one that could be believable to beat Drew McIntyre. Let me just say this one last thing, and then we'll jump into the match with the Wrestling Nostalgia. As we all believe that it's a fait accompli, that Seth Rollins is going to lose to Drew McIntyre on Sunday, we all need to be careful, right, in that pick. Because as much as I say WrestleMania title defenses and title wins need to stick for 6 months minimum, there's no crowd right now. We don't know when we're going to get a crowd. Probably not for a few months minimum. Maybe the end of summer we might start to see fans trickle into buildings across the country. And what if AJ Styles, or what if Drew McIntyre lost to Seth Rollins via interference? It wouldn't be a clean win. And Drew's on the hunt again and again, and on the hunt. Finally gets Seth cornered and is able to recapture it in front of fans. Wouldn't that be a moment? Rather than having him come out in front of fans, he's already at the top of the mountain. Instead of maybe fans getting really pissed that he lost and we want to be back on that journey with him to recapture. Something to think about as we all believe and just assume that Seth Rollins is going to lose to Drew McIntyre on Sunday. So careful. But Brad, thank you so much for your question. And I hope I answered it. And you stay safe as well. And hope work's going good for you. And maybe you can pop some headphones in if you have a job that allows that and listen to the show. And we've got a lot of audio content coming up. So take a listen. But okay, let's jump into your wrestling nostalgia for this week. And again, Undertaker is re-debuting here. We're going to get to the audio, and I get chills every time I see this audio. So, now The Rock and Triple H, longtime rivals, and to me, had some of the best stories in all of pro wrestling. Their chemistry was very good. Same with Triple H and Austin, very good. But Rock and Triple H had something extra that even Triple H and Austin didn't have. As big as Austin was, and I believe he was bigger than The Rock was, Triple H seemed to just have better chemistry with The Rock. From a character perspective, from an in-ring perspective, they gelled perfectly together. So they had a long-standing program, and it culminated here at Judgment Day in 2000. And it took place, as I pull up my notes here, where was it for those that actually care? It was from Freedom Hall in Louisville, Kentucky on May 21st, 2000. So, wow, we are coming up on, I didn't even do that on purpose, on the exact 20-year anniversary of this pay-per-view. And so some of the other matches on the card, get this, there were 6 matches total. And yes, the Ironman match being an hour certainly cut into a lot of other potential matches being here, but imagine only 6 matches on a pay-per-view. It's just, it's how crazy things are now. Okay, so anyway, Too Cool defeated Team Eck, which was Edge, Christian, and Kurt Angle. I forgot about that. In a 6-man tag match that went about 10 minutes. Eddie Guerrero with Chyna defeated Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn in a triple threat match for the WWF European Championship in just about 8 minutes. Shane McMahon defeated Big Show in a Falls Count Anywhere match for 7 minutes. That went. Chris Benoit defeated Chris Jericho in a submission match for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. And then in the semi-main, it was D-Generation X with Tori defeating the Dudley Boys in a tag team tables match that went about 11 minutes. So those were the matches that led up to Triple H versus The Rock. And so just wanted to give you that quick rundown in the field that which we're looking at in 2000. I mean, you look up and down and you may say, oh, that's right. Too Cool. Grandmaster Sexay, Rikishi, Scotty 2 Hotty, Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn. Does anybody remember Moppy with Perry Saturn? Does anybody remember that? I remember I found that absolutely hysterical, and maybe that was my 15-year-old self's humor, but even now, looking back, some of it's pretty damn funny. I remember Perry Saturn having Moppy, and he was playing Yahtzee with Moppy, and he ended up, you see him passed out on the table, and he looks up, and he goes, Yahtzee, and he hits his head on the top of, I don't know, it was like something above his head and gets knocked out again. I mean, he would just talk about nonsensical stuff, and Moppy was, for whatever reason, it caught on. And imagine something like that today, I think would even catch on even further. Something as silly as that. Having a mop around, he would dress it up and he would put put a face to the mop and put lipstick on it. I remember it was just bizarre. And eventually somebody put it in a wood chipper, I think. I think that was the end of Moppy. Somebody did it. But anyway, I can't believe I'm talking about Moppy right now. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, just Google it. Well, don't even Google it. Go to YouTube. Just type in Perry Saturn Moppy, and you'll go, what the hell is this? I guarantee it if you've never seen it. I've never seen it before. All right. Well, so we get to The Rock and Triple H here with Shawn Michaels as the referee, and Shawn Michaels was claiming that he would be impartial. and that he was not going to be a factor in this match. And if you remember, in the August 1999 version, the very first inaugural version of SmackDown that debuted in August of 99, The Rock went one-on-one with Triple H. And in that match, we know what happened. Triple H won because of Shawn Michaels being the referee, ended up screwing The Rock after he gave him Sweet Chin Music, which led to a pedigree and the victory for Triple H. So, in this match, we had Shawn claiming he was going to be fully impartial, and honestly, he was, for the most part. He was very down the line. He ended up punching Shane McMahon in the face. So we did indeed get a very impartial referee of Shawn Michaels. So I just wanted to point that element out. We forget who the referee was. So we get to this match. Let's just get to the damn audio, right? Let's get to the audio at the beginning of the match. Actually, I'm going to give you audio that's going to really throw you back. You want the true nostalgia? For those that lived through the Attitude Era, just take a listen to this. This is actually part of the pay-per-view. It's the very beginning, but it's going to give you a whole flood of memories. So just take a listen to this, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, remember that? Remember that little signature that always started at the beginning of every show? That would be the equivalent of today's Then, Now, and Forever. Or just now, it's WWE Forever. There's no then or now. Apparently, we're all living in the future. WWE has absolved themselves of the past or the present. Everything they do is apparently just in the future. It's forever. I don't know. I mean, they don't get me started. I feel like I'm going to want a rabbit hole I don't need to. But I wanted to give you guys that quick little signature. When I saw that and felt that, I go, woo, I haven't seen that in a while, right? So let's get to this. And here's, as I'm on the WWE Network, right? That's how I'm pulling my clips. Because YouTube is too unreliable. This, WWE can't even get it out of their own way, because in this actual pay-per-view, there's a jump to section where you can just jump to different parts of the match. And at the very last one, this is where Undertaker debuts as the American Badass. Here's what WWE themselves said on their own network. This is the title. The Undertaker returns with a new persona. That's the part of that match. What? I mean, do you really have to say with a new persona? I mean, do you really have to expose your own business? Boy, anyway. All right, moving on. I promise I'm stopping with the rants. So let's get to it. Let's get to some of this audio here with Triple H and The Rock, and we're going to really get into it here.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the 60-minute Ironman match for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. In this contest, the individual who scores the most falls in the 60-minute time limit will be the winner.
And let me just pause right there. So it's a little tribute there to Howard the Fink right there, because didn't he make everything sound important? I mean, you knew when you heard Howard Finkel's voice that, blank was about to go down. You just knew. He made anything sound important, so hats off to the Fink. I wanted to give him a little bit of notoriety there, because to hear his voice, it just brings back so many memories of my childhood that it's just crazy. So, okay, let's move on here. Let's get to some of the entrances. I'm not going to play the full entrances, but until I feel like it's long enough. So here we go. Shawn Michaels being introduced here. So getting generally a positive reaction.
that conversation with Shawn and The Rock was not very positive earlier. We heard Shawn Michaels talk to Triple H. We know they are friends. And they talked about everything but this match, quite frankly.
So Shawn Michaels gets introduced here. Pretty positive reaction. I mean, like, you expect him to get somewhat maybe mixed. Oh, wow. Here comes Triple H. Remember this music? And you got to remember here, the McMahon-Helmsley faction aligned and really formed at WrestleMania that year when Vince turned on The Rock and turned heel, and all the McMahons really embraced in the middle of the ring and screwed The Rock out of the championship. It's the first night also that The Rock bottomed Stephanie McMahon. That was pretty damn cool to see. So, all right, we get that, and then, we get his opponent, at the time, one of the most, if not the most over guy in the business, as Stone Cold Steve Austin was off at this time, getting healed from his neck surgery. So let's take a listen to his opponent. So we got the setup here. We've got Triple H intro. We've got The Rock's intro. We've got Jim Ross. We've got Howard Finkel on the ring announcer. I mean, we've got the dream team here. We've got everybody in place. And Triple H just sent back the McMahon-Helmsley faction. He said he wanted to do this on his own, and so he pushed Vince and Shane and Steph to the back and said, "I want to do this by myself." So. Now we get to the actual match, and we get to the actual the action here, and let's take a listen. Let's get into it, right? Let's go.
Did he overestimate or did he underestimate what the hour was going to be like? Oh, The Rock. Rock, look at the figure four. Oh, no. We've only seen The Rock do this one other time in his career. He's got the figure four on the game. Look at Shawn. He's right in the face of Triple H. He wants... Is he going to ring it? Triple H is writhing in pain. The game's left to be snapped at any moment. He cannot go down 2-0, JR. It'll be over. It will be game over. Triple H, what's he going to do here? He's begging. The Rock's got the figure four locked in.
So there's these guys are pulling out everything, right? In 60 minutes, you can't go to your normal moveset. You have to expand, and The Rock using a figure four here was certainly unique, and Jim Ross pointing out he's only used it one other time in his career. But again, it's 60 minutes, and there's going to be a lot of holds and a lot of kind of laying on the mat, but submission maneuvers to kind of buy time. You can't go 100 miles an hour in this match. It just is not feasible, and it's not a good way to pace the match, even if you could. So... and again, this spits in the face of everything that everyone believes is a 5-star match today. Or what the modern fan believes, not everybody, but what the modern fan believes is a 5-star match today. This goes in the face of that, but in a brilliant way, because it shows that you don't need to go 100 miles an hour to have a great match, that you can make moves matter. And this is an example of it. And you know what? Triple H and The Rock, they did it without a single moonsault, without a single suicide dive. They made it work and had one of the best matches of the year, I would argue. So let's keep going here. Right now, The Rock is up 1-0 after hitting a rock bottom, and now Triple H is, well, he's starting to take over. So let's take a listen.
The Rock looking for the figure four. Wow. And Triple H counter. And The Rock, look out. Triple H working. They got a pedigree. He countered the figure four. There's the pedigree. Is it? Yes, it is. And we are tied. At 34 minutes and 30 seconds. Triple H. We are tied. Roll back on it. You can get another fight. You get another pinfall. We are tied at 1.
So each of these guys has a pinfall apiece, and now it just starts to get nasty. Halfway through the match, they have a fall apiece. I mean, so the pacing of this match, many people look at this today and would say, oh my God, this is so boring, it's taken forever. This is what you do when you have a blood feud. You blow it off in an Ironman match, a true Ironman match. You blow it off inside of Hell in a Cell. That's where you blow these things off. And these guys had a story that made sense to do it. It wasn't just a part of the schedule, the pay-per-view gimmick schedule. This was a story that was worthy of a Iron Man match. This wasn't a new feud or something that would be kind of cool or first time ever that WWE likes to do. This was a program that deserved it. So without giving you every single pinfall here, because there were quite a few of them, I'll kind of fast forward a little bit. After the 1-1, Triple H then goes up and with a 2-1 advantage with an inside cradle, and Triple H then gets another pinfall after a pile driver. Yeah, a pile driver at 39 minutes. And then The Rock ends up getting a 3-2 pinfall after a DDT. So, yeah, DDTs can be finishes. Amazing. Then The Rock goes up 3-3, but it's only because Triple H was disqualified for attacking The Rock with a chair. So things are starting to heat up. It's starting to elevate. I like this. Triple H then goes up 4-3 after there was a pinfall using the ropes for leverage. So Triple H ended up cheating to get another pinfall. Triple H then won again after The Rock passed out and was in a sleeper hold by Triple H. Then The Rock goes up, or gets a pinfall, a count out rather, and creeps closer and gets up down. He's only down 5-4. Triple H was counted out after a pedigree on a broadcast table by The Rock. So The Rock ends up hitting the pedigree. And, well, let's see how The Rock ties it up, and then let's see what happens from there. Let's take a listen to that.
Can the game hold on for 2 minutes and 50 seconds? Look at those rights by The Rock. He's made the smackdown. A rush of adrenaline. The 28-year-old WWF champion almost beheaded the game. Oh my gosh. Although they take it to another gear here. With 2.5 minutes left, The Rock's got to get a decision. A DDT! A DDT! Look at Shane McMahon. What is it? Shane McMahon up. And just knocked down. Spinebuster. Spinebuster. Here it is, JR. This is what The Rock needed. 17,000 on their feet. The ashes at ringside, too. It's the most electrifying move. The people's elbow. He hit it. People's elbow. It's tied up. It's tied up. It's tied up. You got less than 2 minutes. Hey, look at this. Shane McMahon pulling Shawn Michaels out of the ring. Oh, they're nose to nose, JR. What's going to happen now? Shawn Michaels just knocked down Shane. Shawn Michaels right hand on Vince McMahon.
All right, so I'm going to pause it right there because we're about to get into the real fun of the match here, the real big ticket, the big payoff of the match. But first, I want to take a quick break and then give a little bit of love to the sponsors of the show, and then we'll be back with the big bang, with the Undertaker's return and the finish of the match, and why this match was actually botched. So stay right here. Introducing Irie TV, the best IPTV at the best price. Supporting the most devices, Irie TV is on Roku, Apple TV, smart TVs, Android phones and tablets, as well as Fire Stick. You can watch Irie TV on iPhones, iPad, and also on the web player that works on any browser. So for drama, news, sports, boxing, WWE, movies, adult, streaming pay-per-views, or with League Pass packages, choose Irie TV. It's video on demand included. Irie TV is IRIE-TV. There's a low monthly and annual discount prices as well. You can find that at irietv.co. That's IRIE-TV.co. Irie TV, it's the best TV. Hey guys, not because you need to, but because you would want to. Improve your weight room and bedroom performance with the all-new Vaso Flux for Men. It's a natural dietary supplement. This unique blend of barks, roots, herbs, and vitamins is nature's way of keeping you in the game, and for under $10, you can order yours today. Just visit Youth Fountain Laboratory at youthfountainlab.com. That's youthfountainlab, all one word, .com, or call 1-800-853-7856. That's 1-800-853-7856.
Welcome back to the WWE Podcast. Let's get back to more great wrestling audio.
All right, guys, here we go. Let's get into the big part of this match and the debut of the American Badass. So we're going to listen to what happens here in the follow-up. Again, there's only a couple minutes on the clock, 2 minutes. And let's see how this thing times out. And then I want to get to, of course, how they botched this thing. So let's take a listen. It is a minute or two long, so bear with me if you think I'm just using my podcast to just lazily record audio from the show. I need you guys to listen to this so it sets up the scene. So let's go. Let's just do this, guys.
It's the Undertaker. He's coming from McMahon. You've got to believe, or is he? Yes! The Undertaker is whipping ass. The Phenom. Top slam to hell. Look out, Vince. Get away. Oh, right hand by the Undertaker. Knocking McMahon out. Oh, my God, it's carnage. The Undertaker is destroying whatever's. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! And Triple H saving his wife. Look at the time! Look at this! No, look out! Don't do it! Shawn Michaels. That was a toe slam. He's toe slam. The Undertaker toe slam. Tombstone! It's already over! What's happened? I think Shawn Michaels are trying to tell the Undertaker not to choke slam the game. Not only did the Undertaker choke slam the game, he gave him a pile driver. decision here. Wait a minute. Can you hear?
Ladies and gentlemen, as a result of a disqualification due to outside interference, the winner of the fall, Triple H, therefore the winner of the match and new World Wrestling Federation champion, Triple H.
Oh, man, that's a heartbreaker. That's a heartbreaker. I mean, I saw Shawn Michaels trying to reason with The Undertaker, and that's what's going to happen. And JR, not only that, I think the clock had expired. I think the time had expired. You might be right. I gotta question this myself. I thought The Undertaker got the choke slam in during the time. I thought that's what the disqualification was. I could have sworn I heard the...
So there you go. Undertaker re-debuting as the American Badass, but the crowd was crazy accepting to it. It's almost as if nothing changed, which is weird to say, but based on the reaction, if he had come back out as the dead man, then it probably would have been a similar reaction. But coming out on the bike, coming down to the ring, and dismembering the McMahon-Helmsley faction was nothing short of brilliant. The crowd was just exploding, and god dang, what a difference a crowd makes, especially in today's environment. So if you want to feel good and get energy from a crowd and get get the reasons why you love wrestling and get reminded of those reasons, listen to this. Go to the match, especially the end of it, and really throughout the entire match, to be honest with you. The crowd was in every move. And so just a brilliantly executed match. Some of the comedic moments, I don't know, I get a crack out of this every time. When Undertaker gets in the ring and starts clearing house and choke slams everyone and kicks him in the face, when the look on Vince McMahon's face is absolutely priceless before he gets punched. You'll know it when you see it. I can't explain it because you're just listening to me. You can't see it in front of you. But there's a moment where Vince rethinks what he's doing and kind of steps back and turns around and then gets punched right in the face. It is damn hysterical. But the Rock loses the match here, and here's where the botch comes in. The clock somehow disappeared at 4.5 seconds. It just poof, went up in thin air. Undertaker at that point would have choke slammed Triple H after the 4.5 seconds, based on the clock WWE was showing us. Shawn was on the outside of the ring and didn't see this happen, but even if he did, the Undertaker, based on the clock WWE was showing us, would have done it after the match was over by about a second. The bell didn't ring. There was no buzzer where there should have been. And Undertaker then proceeds to tombstone Triple H. And that's where Shawn Michaels came to after getting knocked to the outside and called for the bell based on what he saw The Undertaker doing. But the clock had already run out based on what WWE had shown us until the clock disappeared at 4.5 seconds. So clearly a bit of a miscalculation in time, a botch by anybody's stretch. That was clearly a botch. I don't think it was a storyline in any sense. They just mistimed it by about 10 seconds. And it was what it was. The story was good because it didn't hurt The Rock losing. The Rock was the most over guy in the company at this point, with Austin gone for surgery. And Undertaker returning after being gone for some time with injuries, felt as if he needed to refresh his character, and this was a big leap from what the traditional presentation of The Undertaker was, and it worked. Certainly worked. The Undertaker became a mega babyface instantly upon his return, and alongside The Rock, they led Raw, and Kane ended up realigning with Undertaker to form the Brothers of Destruction, which then also took place in 2001 when Austin turned heel, and you had a Brothers of Destruction versus the two-man Power Trip. but maybe I'll do a 2-man power trip nostalgia next week or something. That is such an underrated time, that 2-man power trip. I mean, the name of it is just damn awesome. And then you put in the fact that those two truly were on a power trip, and the star power that they held. Oh, so much could have been done with that. But anyway, this match here with Undertaker interfering was awesome. The timing was great. Everybody sold everything wonderfully. Triple H winning was the right move because it got more heat on him for winning the way he did, and basically lucking out. Everything about this was brilliant, other than the botch that, again, it's really difficult if you're going to truly go by that clock and not mess with it at all to get the exact number of seconds down that you are going to need and execute them in a live format. So they missed it by about 10 seconds if you do the math after the clock runs out and when Shawn was supposed to see it happen. But it was still, nonetheless, it still worked. I mean, I'm fine with it. It was a botch. I don't care because the story was that good and the right way to do it. So that's my nostalgia for tonight. I know many of you may go back and watch this now. I would highly recommend it. And if you haven't, you should. It is a worthwhile story. And the Triple H Rock rivalry is a worthwhile look back anyway. I mean, there's so much to unpack when it comes to that rivalry and where it started, really, with the Intercontinental Championship morphing into the WWF Championship. I mean, they really had a hell of a program for many years. I mean, 3, 4, 5 years they went at it and had some very memorable matches. This is right up there with the top 3 in my opinion. We have the 60-minute Ironman match, and they didn't do a single suicide dive. They didn't do a single aerial maneuver, and yet they were able to get over. You know how that's possible? Star power. You know why the crowd was invested? Because they cared about the characters. It still works. We're all still human beings. We're the same human beings we were back in 2000. We all attached ourselves emotionally to something that we care about and we have a reason to. And it's not just about the moves. It's about the characters and the story and who you want to see be successful, not who's going to put on a great match, right? The great match was a side effect of having a great story to tell in the ring, but having a rivalry that was deserving of brutality or deserving of a stipulation in the match. The side effect is having a great match. You don't talk about having a great match. It's just something, you just don't do it, right? And today's it's about I've been putting on great matches or stealing shows. Like, no, that's exposing the business, because then you're just there to what? Make sure that you get people excited? I mean, is that what having a good match is, or stealing the show is? I mean, I don't know why Dolph Ziggler never got that. I mean, it's a cool little catchphrase. It's cute to end a promo, but it ultimately undermines why you're here. It should be to win, not to steal the show, right? Stealing the show. You could steal the show in a losing effort. I just never understood Dolph Ziggler's character with that. I mean, I don't know. But anyway, see how quickly I get on tangents. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. It's been a blast. It's always fun to go back in time and relive a time when coronavirus wasn't even a term. Social distancing wasn't even a twinkle in anyone's eye. Arenas were packed, and it was the golden era of the Attitude Era. And no better match here than to have some of the biggest stars in WWE with The Rock and Triple H and Undertaker. And yes, even Shane and Vince McMahon when they were in their prime. It was all just very well done, executed to the nth degree, and I loved it. So, again, guys, this is all just kind of subjective material in terms of what I love and what you guys may or may not love. But send me your ideas. If you really have something that you're passionate about hearing my opinion about or just reliving, email me at realwwepodcast@gmail.com, or just send me a tweet at the WWE Podcast on Twitter. And you will I'll put yourself in the bank here. I've got a lot of suggestions from people. This was one of them, and I agreed. So if you have your idea and you're like, oh, that'd be awesome, do this, send it to me. I'd love to be able to maybe make your dream come true of putting your topic on the show, because there's just an infinite amount of stuff to talk about, right? You'll never run out of nostalgic moments. So hit me up too. And if you want to get your voice on the show, like you heard earlier from Brad, just email me a voice memo from your phone. And you can do that to realwwepodcast@gmail.com if you want your question or comment or rant on the show. As long as it's PG and it's, 1 minute, a minute and a half tops, I'd love to be able to get your voice on the show. It's always good to hear other voices. So, and guys, thank you again for joining me. A lot more content coming this week. 3 more shows with your AEW, your NXT, and then your full Money in the Bank preview show that's coming up on Saturday. So, guys, as always, I appreciate you listening. Please give us a like or a subscribe or a rating and review. It does help out. Everybody can help out a little bit. We're trying to get this into the top 10 wrestling podcasts. We flirt with it, and then we drop back down to top 40, top 30. Top 30 seems to be where we live lately for whatever reason. Visiting the top 20s on a weekly basis, and then creeping back down to the low 20s. So I'd love to be able to get into the top 10. That's my goal by the end of 2020. So let's do it together. I'd really appreciate your help. Okay, guys, thanks so much. We'll be back soon, and I'll talk to you later. Hey guys, not because you need to, but because you would want to, improve your weight room and bedroom performance with the all-new Vaso Flux for Men. It's a natural dietary supplement. This unique blend of barks, roots, herbs, and vitamins is nature's way of keeping you in the game, and for under $10, you can order yours today. Just visit Youth Fountain Laboratory at youthfountainlab.com. That's youthfountainlab, all one word, .com, or call 1-800-853-7856. That's 1-800-853-7856.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.